Hail, hail. Good to see you all this morning. Where the schedule's been a little bit all over the place. So with a lot of stuff that's happened over the last 24, 36 hours, I just thought we would jump on for a wee live and do a quick catch up with some stuff that's been moving and shaking as we prepare to come out of the international dead zone, out of the international break and back to all things Celtic. We had a video drop on the channel yesterday where we looked at the next chunk of fixtures. We did a bigger kind of fixture analysis and then kind of focused in really on the next kind of 6 to 7 games leading into the cup final. What's involved? What is at hand? You know, what do we expect to get? And everything else. So if you did miss that, it only went out yesterday, so it's brand new, hot off the press. So feel free to check that out. It'll be linked at the end of this one in case you did miss it. But also, like before I recorded that video, we didn't really know the situation coming into the weekend. I was on Axom yesterday, and we had an interesting discussion on when does the new manager get I've got that image in my mind of putting a boat out. What do you call that again? But when do you put them out there? When do you actually when do you actually just get them going, basically, So I think this is a delicate procedure, and I think it's something that Celtic are in a really strong position to do well in terms of, doing the best thing for the team and the club. And it looks like that has been what has been actioned. The stuff that we had coming to us at CeltsAreHere over the last couple of days is that it looks like Nancy is going to be appointed on Thursday, which will be ahead of the AGM. Let's see how it all shakes out. And that was reported on the site, I think, yesterday. So feel free to check that out. All the Substack subscribers, big shout out to you guys. Of course, you'd have got that scoop as soon as it came out. And if that is the case, if he's coming in Thursday, we only have Friday before a Saturday night game. Even having him in the dugout with, the coaches pulling the strings, I don't really think you're setting yourself up for the best way to go and win that game. So I think Martin O'Neill getting his last hurrah one more time, Martin. Because, in the post-match of the last match, which just is escaping me right now, one of the questions Martin O'Neill got in the post-match was around how he just went straight up the tunnel after the full-time whistle, and he kind of regretted not going up to the fans and, doing a wee kind of lap of honour kind of thing, because it might have been his last time as manager. So I do think that is something that if he's, we know he met with Desmond in London, you've got to imagine that's something he's probably said. It's like, listen, going to at least give me one more. I need to say bye to the fans. I want to go on the pitch at the end of the game. I want to get one more good result at the very least. And, from there, you then maybe have a bit of a free hit coming into the midweek. Celtic have announced and confirmed that Martin O'Neill will be taking charge of things alongside Sean Maloney on an interim basis until further notice. Nothing has changed on that front. And that's what I wanted to start off with today, because we got this interview with Celtic TV from Martin O'Neill kind of in tandem with that announcement. I've not seen it yet. It's only 4 minutes. And I thought we could just kind of kick off the video with this. We'll then have a look at the squad as it presents itself at the moment. And then we'll go around some of the international boys that have been out there doing their thing for their nations and representing Celtic by extension. But yeah, if you're watching this live, fist bumps to you all. Thanks for joining us live and loud. And if you're watching this after we've been live, of course, as well, thanks for joining in and tuning into the video as well. Be sure to keep up to date with all the content we've got coming out on the channel. We always try and cover topics with as much headroom, as possible, because a lot of the content that you do make around Celtic and football and sport in general is always moving forward week to week, month to month. So one thing I certainly myself put a lot of energy into is trying to have stuff live as long as possible. So we try and get stuff out as soon as it's kind of coming into scope for conversation or something as fans that we're thinking about or concerned with. And we're right around the corner from the January window, so we'll have lots of transfer stuff coming up as well, I'm sure, in due course, as well as the other stuff that we've had recently on the channel over the last couple of days. But yeah, let's check this out. Let's see what Martin's saying to it.
For a little while longer until a new manager is in place. We're here at Lennoxtown, of course, getting ready for another game this weekend. How much are you looking forward to the game ahead? How much did you enjoy your few days off?
Well, first things first, I enjoyed the couple of days off. It was a bit of a whirlwind the fortnight beforehand. But if there's not an announcement now in the next few days, then happy to still be there for the weekend game against St Mirren.
Yeah, absolutely. So a big week ahead. A number of the boys, of course, are on international duty just now. I've got to ask you about Ireland, particularly Liam Scales with that incredible assist. Johnny Kenny making his debut. What an end to the game.
Well, you mentioned the two lads, and that was really great for them. I've spoken to them this morning, and naturally delighted. And they are so pleased it's untrue. So a draw to look forward to, some matches again in March time, and with a wee bit of luck, qualification for the World Cup, which would be fantastic. Really, really great. So what an ending! What incredible, really. And I noticed I saw something there where they had Dublin Airport, Troy Parrott Airport, which was really great. Yeah, fantastic effort.
You said you'd spoken to the boys. Have they come down to planet Earth yet after that finish?
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, Johnny seemed to be in better condition than Scalesy, in the sense, Scalesy. Certain, I must have woken him up, to tell you the truth, because I assume they would have naturally travelled back from Hungary just pretty well immediately after the game, but both were in great spirits, really great spirits, and just parking that to the side now, something to really look forward to, as I said, in March time, and with a little bit of luck, continuing that there right through to the summer.
And closer to home, there's a bit of a friendly
wee bit of a spoiler to what we'll be talking about after this, so cool. Prize isn't just all about the team and stuff, and okay, it's only 4 minutes.
Rivalry between Scotland and Denmark, not in terms of on the pitch, because an incredible match ahead of us. We've got the likes of Kieran Tierney and Anthony Ralston on one side, Kasper Schmeichel on the other. You must be looking forward to that game and hoping they all come out of it unscathed.
Well, that be the first thing I'd be thinking about. You obviously as a club manager, but you're dead right. A big game. Scotland's still there now, and I think I might be totally wrong about this, but I think that if you were to ask Scotland to begin with, certainly maybe the supporters, they have to win at Hampden to qualify for the World Cup. I think they would have taken that, way back when the group opened up in the first place. So winning at Hampden, last game, you qualify and you're in the World Cup in the summertime. So I think they would have taken that.
You'll be enjoying it as a football fan, but in the back of your mind, you'll be looking ahead to the game against St Mirren this weekend. I know you went to St Mirren Park.
Guys, I don't want to come across as hypercritical or anything, right? But this is a 4-minute piece, and more than half of it, like,
Park recently, to see the buddies, that they're always a very strong physical side. What was your impression of them?
Just, I think they played some really attractive football as well too. I thought they were really excellent in the game. 3-0 suggests that they were well and truly beaten. That was not the case at all, because they had a goal disallowed after 3 or 4 minutes in the game, which looked, well, I'm depending on which line you followed here in VAR, I suppose that would, and that's a massive moment. And then just
great little point he's getting in there, isn't it? On the VAR lines.
After half time, they had another goal chalked off, which would have been the equalising goal. So both big momentum carriers and then momentum droppers at the same time. So Hibs, who are a very fine side themselves, go on and win eventually, 3-0. But as I said, the big moments happened against St Mirren.
Yeah, so a big game for you. Preparation, what's in line for the boys in the week ahead then?
Well, first of all, you just mentioned earlier about players coming back from international matches unscathed, which is the most important thing for us just now that we've a few injuries to contend with. So I'd rather, whatever sort of squad we had for the Kilmarnock game, I wouldn't mind having roughly the same again. But of course, there's a few hamstring problems along the way. But listen, we can only deal with what we have, what we want to do, and just want to play as strongly as we possibly can. But let's see what the next couple of days bring.
I know you.
Just before we get to that, let's go and have a wee peek at what the Kilmarnock squad was for a second. Best place to look. Yeah, let's just look here. So this is the Kilmarnock squad. So Taneki didn't go away on international duty. Maeda's away with Japan at the moment. It's just mentioned Scales. Sriracha didn't go away. So if the hope is, he did mention hamstring injuries along the way. Maybe he's one of the question marks at this stage. Yeah, I don't think there's much debate around anyone here on the bench necessarily. So interesting that's the kind of frame of reference.
I know you're used to the big lights of London just now, Martin, but the clear air and the beautiful sunshine up here, it doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Well, this is a beautiful day. It really is. It's kind of cold at this minute, and you're well and truly wrapped up, so you're fine, right? But
and now they're talking about the weather. Like, this is fantastic, isn't it? I'm so glad we got Martin and Neil come on to talk about the weather. Coached by Asrar, good to see you in the chat. And what a question, by the way. Now, I actually have the squad kind of sitting here. I don't know if this is, it's probably a good way of displaying the injuries. Again, we don't really know the situation with Sriracha or really Iheanacho, because they've been, it's not been totally clear on them. Donovan has had his scan. We heard that from Gemmell, and I think the pre-match for the next game or whatever, but he's been sent back home. No breaks or rips or tears or anything like that. So he might just be out for like a week or two. Nothing major, just maybe like a really bad injury, bad foul against him. It's just basically going to write him out. So Donovan would maybe just keep on the board here, but otherwise, I think it is just this merry batch of men here, except for Duhan, obviously just number 3 keeper. I've just taken him out the frame here, because this is basically the playing squad I think we've got to imagine we have for the St Mirren game. Maybe Iheanacho is becoming available for the bench again, maybe. I don't know. Certainly not Callum Osmond. Again, as I mentioned on the video yesterday, probably a little bit early for the Jota thoughts. And again, don't really know where Sriracha is. If Martin O'Neill's hoping for a similar squad to what he had at Kilmarnock, then Sriracha is in that picture. So I think we can maybe think about Sriracha. If he doesn't play St Mirren, he's certainly back in the fold not too long thereafter. And alongside Donovan, we can probably just think about him in general not being completely on the treatment table. It's maybe just a case of just healing, from a bad bang or kick or whatever. In the case of Donovan and Sriracha, I think it was just a wee hamstring pull or something, wasn't it? And a couple of weeks off for that should be right about what the doctor ordered. So I think it's a bad one in terms of like like it was sore AF. They had to check if it was broken, obviously. So I don't think it was something you just walk off, or you wake up the next day and you're totally fine from. And if it's his ankle as well, you know what it's like when you hurt your ankle, just how brittle it can feel and how sensitive it can be to movement. So yeah, you can maybe think about 2 to 3 weeks probably for that, just to heal up and then get back on the grass again. Maybe a month, but it just depends on, doesn't it, on swelling and stuff like that. So yeah, significant injuries. Carter Vickers obviously massive, Alistair Johnson massive, and Callum Osmond starting to come into the fray with no other kind of the striker situation the way it's been. It's certainly been an injury that's been felt. But but when you look across defence, like, we're still really 2 to a spot, which is kind of all right, isn't it? And let's see with the manager changes how the rest of the team becomes workable. Because like I mentioned in one of the videos recently, you guys would have checked it out, I'm sure. If you're watching live and loud, if you're watching, anyway, feel free to keep up to speed with the content. But the change of manager and the change of system might just like totally fix a lot of the problems we have in terms of just we have no right side at the moment, and some other bits and pieces. But in lieu of that, we're probably expecting a very similar set of tactics and shape and whatever to what Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney have given us so far, which has been fine. And in the video I did yesterday, before we knew that Martin O'Neill was going to be signing on, I did say like probably the best chance of beating St Mirren is with Martin O'Neill in charge rather than Nancy on a 24-hour turnaround.
It's reminiscent of the great old days I spent here at the beginning of the century. Beginning of the century sounds really
sounds
really
a long time ago, doesn't it?
And it was the beginning of the century. Yeah.
Well, listen, great to have you here for a little bit longer, Martin.
No matter how long that may be.
Exactly. Who knows if we'll speak to you again?
You may not. You may not.
So his last thing on Celtic TV might be just under 5 minutes long. The first half of that was like, it was like listening to him on TalkSport again. Like he's just being a pundit on international. And fair enough, let's talk about the Celtic players. So that's kind of where, am I being too critical on that? And then we're talking about the weather for the final minute. So not much St Mirren action. How's Tenetke? Because like I mentioned, he didn't travel for international duty. So I think we expect him to be ready to go. And, things like that, how's Sriracha? Can you tell us, maybe we get that for the press conference, fine. Maybe it is just a bit more slice of life because it's Celtic TV and it's not the pre-game, whatever. So, again, maybe I've been hypercritical, I don't know. But when I see, Martin O'Neill's on and they've announced he's going to be playing the St Mirren game, I kind of expect the video to marry up and a bit more with the announcement itself. Maybe they recorded that before that was decided. I don't know. But yeah, feel free to let me know, guys. Am I being too critical on that or not? Open to feedback on that. But yeah, this was the reference, the base reference, the framing for what we hope the squad looks like, which I think means Simpson Pussy is probably going to continue in at right back coming into the weekend. So we'll just need to watch out for training pictures and all the rest of it. Anthony Ralston obviously is playing tonight for Scotland. We still have some international games tonight to run. And yeah, we had Tierney off the bench. yeah, I don't think we're really. Balikwish has also travelled to Africa for a Congo duty, so maybe he's got a bit of jet lag or something to carry. He's obviously not starting anyway. But yeah, everything else seems pretty tickety-boo. Now, one thing I found quite interesting looking at this, right, is the internationals in this window. We actually don't have that many away, which is a bit of a blessing. Kasper Schmeichel, as we know, again, is going to be playing tonight against Scotland. Sinisalo has been away with Finland, and sadly for him, they lost to Malta. Now, I had a look at the goal. Have we got it actually? Yeah, I did get it. Now, you can get one chance at seeing this, right? Get one chance at seeing this. It's only going to be on for 4 seconds. You can replay it as much as you want, but I can only play it once. Tough goal to concede. It's from distance. It's through a bunch of bodies. It's on his side. It's very low, very, very low and right in at the corner. So it's a tough one. But if you actually look at this game, he genuinely had nothing else to do the entire game. No saves were made. And it's not as if they conceded goals or anything. That was the only goal they conceded. He made some passes. The only possession lost or anything like that was from the passes. So he's not, it's just been there've been nothing from Malta in this game on target for the goalkeeper to deal with in any way, shape or form other than that shot. So doesn't come out of it looking great. And the Finland goalkeeper spot is somewhat up for grabs. But in the aftermath of that, he had some very interesting quotes where he kind of said he couldn't talk too much, but he wants to play. Playing's the main thing. And he's very much wanting to be the number one keeper at Celtic. Can he wait until next year? Is something we're maybe sensing a wee bit of sense of urgency around now from Sinisalo, which is quite good, I think. It's good that you want goalkeepers that are confident, back themselves, and are, I should be playing. That should be the level that they're at mentally. So bring it on. I think we're Celtic are at. It's only right that if we are, it doesn't feel like Schmeichel will be here post World Cup. I think we should buy another goalkeeper in the summer that is Sinisalo level and just have them fight it out to the death, really, to be honest with you. So despite the goal conceded, the no clean sheet, it's good to see him playing for Finland, isn't it? But with Vickers being injured, Ralston's coming off the bench for Scotland, Johnson being injured, Sanachi not going away either. There's not actually been too much travel from defence this time. Austin Truss has been away with America, didn't play the first game. They play tonight and midnight, so maybe he gets an appearance there. And Ralston, as I say, will be off the bench for Scotland probably. Tierney didn't come off the bench in the first game for Scotland, if memory serves me right. So yeah, maybe he features tonight. And Donovan, as we mentioned, other 21s, action played one game, got injured. But in midfield, none of them are away. Bernardo, Engels, McCowan, Hatate, McGregor, Forrest. All of them are here. All of them are just chilling, basically. Dyson's away with Japan, of course. Kenny's been away with Ireland. Negren with Sweden. Balikwisha with Dominican Republic of Congo. And Tuniki, didn't travel himself. Ian Atro didn't travel. So on. So we've only had maybe 4, 5, 6 guys actually leave the building. So I think we should be pretty good coming out of this in terms of hitting the big fixture pile-up that we spoke about in yesterday's video. The top player so far in this international window, but has been Scaldini himself, Liam Scales. Now, Scales, at left wing back against Portugal. And look at this team: Bernardo Silva, Jon Snow, and João Cancelo. This is a top end, right hand side. I didn't see the game. I can't say that I did, sadly. But looking at the stats and the way the game went, Scales wasn't really doing too much as a left wing back. He was doing a lot more defending and just being a real engine. I've seen his post-match comments. He said it's just a lot harder on the legs being in that role, but he's done it before for Celtic and he at least kind of knew what he was in for in that regard. So I think just a lot of positional play and being difficult to play against for him in that role. But what an assist if you've seen it, by the way. He said they were practicing it in training and it never worked, but he said, I'll make it work in the game. And it panned out for him. 79 out of 100, great rating against a strong Portugal team. But then to follow that up against Hungary, I can't believe he started the second game because I think some guy was at Manning, was suspended or something, and that's maybe why Scales even got in the first place, because he's had a few caps, but he's not got into that back three of O'Brien, Collins and O'Shea. That's been quite difficult for Scales to bust into. So maybe he's making this position a bit of his own. And again, the assist, if you've not seen it, leaps like a salmon, drops the ball down onto a food plate for him. And I don't know why I said food plate there, but just actually just put it on a plate, put it down on the deck for him. And fair play to him. And again, just a strong kind of defensive performances, blocks and clearances and tackles, that sort of thing. Wow, look at that from the Hungarians. massive shout. So great to see Scales probably having, certainly having. Now he's on the Champions League, so maybe there's a little bit of that comes into it. But certainly international, he's living his best life right now, isn't he? At Celtic, he's ever present. He's probably our player of the year at this point, in some Celtic fans' opinion. And Scaldini, I'm wearing the wrong t-shirt today, but I was wearing it yesterday. Going from strength to strength. Now, Sweden have just appointed recently Graham Potter, and in his first game in charge, he selected Ben Nygren to play up front alongside Matthias Svanberg. Now, they've had Alexander Isak and somebody else is brilliant as well. Kulusevski. I'm sure there's somebody else. Guy Perez, not available for this game. Isak comes off the bench. Of course, so this is a bit of a makeshift team, but you can clearly see, Graham Potter has had one shot of the team, really likes Nygren and has put him up front. He gets the goal. If you've not seen it, it's a very Celtic Nygren goal, just in and around the box, right place, right time. They end up losing 4-1 to Switzerland. Nothing to be ashamed of. Switzerland, a very good team. But look who plays, Lagerbielke. And I think Starfelt is in the squad, isn't he? I think he's on, there he is there. He's on to play the second game, I believe. So a little bit of a Celtic contingency in here. New past and present. So that's kind of fun, isn't it? And right now for Japan, Daizen Maeda is playing left wing back. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Now, on the Japan Twitter page, they actually show the goal, or one of the goals, and you can see Daizen doesn't do anything for the goal, but you can see him. This is it here. I don't know if we're allowed to show this, so I'll just kind of let it run. But I think about here, yeah. So you see Daizen coming into frame now, and they're playing like a 3-4-3 type shape. Let me scroll away from it. I'll come back in a second. There we go. Yeah, it gets caught under the ball. Let me mute that. And then goal. I think that was Kamada that scored that one. There was a goal afterwards. I don't know if they put the highlight out for that. No, they didn't. But interesting to see Daizen playing left wing back in all positions, because if I got some of the presets done, yeah, I still do. I can't remember what any of them were now, but let's press number 5, see what that does. Yeah, so even if we look at number 5, I don't think this is ever going to happen at Celtic. I just don't think Daizen would do I don't think he would throw the toys at the pram or anything like that, but he's not signing up for this. See? For Celtic after his season last year, he's definitely up front, isn't he? But imagine it, man. Imagine it. It could be crazy. I think more people would see him doing this on the right side rather than the left in a Celtic shirt, just with the strength we have with Taneke, Srirachi and Tierney on the left. But interesting to see him essentially playing in this position for Japan. I think that's number 2 again. Kind of back to the squad. Yeah, they're kind of in a different place and stuff like that. But yeah, it's essentially what we've got coming into it also. Yeah, some moves and some shakes from the international guys, which is nice to see. Martin O'Neill is going to be confirmed in situ for Celtic for the weekend's game against St Mirren. And yeah, we'll get into a proper match preview closer to the time, but I think we can see a bit of continuity probably come out of Celtic coming out of this international break from the Kilmarnock game. And I'm not too sure if Srirachi will be available for this one, but Tierney is. He's not played the first Scotland game, which is lovely, to be honest with you. And the second game, again, if Tierney could get no minutes, I'd probably be quite chuffed. But let's see how it goes. Scotland, need to win that game. If they don't, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, playoff is guaranteed, but I think we can see, there will be some big questions. Hatate started the game, done very well. Engels come off the bench and changed the game. McKeown starting with McGregor was unexpected and was quite effective. Could you play that against St Mirren away from home? I'm not sure. I think you kind of want Engels involved here. And again, with the right-hand side, Nygren, does Daizen play through the middle? Jet lag Daizen as well, because again, it's a lot of travel, isn't it? For a Saturday night match, no less. And again, the likes of Taneke, Balikwisha, even Yang come off the bench against Kilmarnock, could come into the 3 again. And Shin Yamada, again, we're maybe still all kind of waiting to see what happens with him. Let me catch up with you guys in the chat for a little while. I didn't plan on this one being too long. I just kind of thought this is better to do live rather than record it and get it edited, etc. You can just kind of handle my pauses and my mistakes, whatever, on this one. Yeah, I could maybe imagine that, See, the info that came to us is Thursday, Friday, essentially. The first thing that I heard was Thursday. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be any real issue. Like I said on Axom yesterday, Ange managed to bring in Harry Kuehl. Brendan, when he left, you can see that he left with people. And we all remember after he was here for 4 months, Brendan did hire people. So Celtic definitely have scope, budget, allocation, whatever, for manager to bring people, you know, like they don't want to be totally beholden, I don't think, to management appointments that they bring in the staff. And that's a good thing. Celtic should have a core level of staff that do work at first team level. And I know John Kennedy sometimes became a bit of a negative meme, but I really do think he was a net positive. And I think everyone would probably agree with that at this point in time, without doubt. But that type of thing for a club like us is important, you know, that we do have foundations of staff that keep the Celtic way going, the fabric of the club, etc. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem for him to bring guys in, and I don't think it takes any detraction away from the club's just employment policy in general. Nygren had a very good game. Bad pen call for Switzerland, and then that kind of derailed Sweden. Interesting. Yeah, I seen Big Phil was going to Norwich. Norwich, by the way, Norwich are just like, they've got this funny position with Scottish football in recent seasons, haven't they? With guys, you know, like, did they not take Shane Duffy from Celtic as well? Or, you know, how did, or not from Celtic, but we only loaned him from Brighton, didn't we? But, and obviously Kvitsgarden, Ida, Sidney Van Hooijdonk. There's been lots of funny wee things with Norwich. I can't remember. There's more than what I've just said there. And I'm just talking about over the last like 2 or 3 years. I'm not talking about longer stuff with, you know, even Fraser Foster or Chris Sutton, anything like that. McCowan is one of the 10s. Yeah, well, I was quite surprised that McCowan went into this system. Not that he couldn't do it, but he very clearly, of all of them, is the most attacking midfielder, isn't he? So I'm with you there, Hugh, on this one. And Engels, especially against St Mirren, again, with McGregor here, I think that's probably, excuse me again, the way to go. But Hatate played so well against Kelly. He played so well. Yeah, totally. I was going to say that, or mention it. So I'll probably mention it when we do the Welcome to Celtic video, if and when it happens. But, you know, like, you just need to look at some of the footage of Columbus Crew. Like, American, you know, sport, like, you can kind of demean it in terms of where it is, like, football wise. And I know the top 10 Opta thing is really doing the rounds right now. It is like, it's a metric. It's not the metric, you know. But one thing that you have to give American sport is they put money into it. They put resources, they put infrastructure, jobs, departments, you know, like maximization, 1% a day stuff, you know. And you just need to look at the facilities that they have. It's like something out of a sitcom movie type thing, you know. It's just a huge, big facility and staff upon staff upon staff in every department. And Celtic, you know, have big facilities and have staff, I suppose, but it's very much a smaller operation on so many different levels, infrastructure-wise, personnel, just headcount, you know. Even though Celtic is a bigger club in every other metric you would get to say, but in terms of like a company, much smaller in terms of people and like headcount and things like that, yeah. That's a funny one. Love that. Good to see you. I'm just trying to scroll back through the chat, see if I've missed anything from earlier. I think it's just a bit of injury chat and, yeah, just that kind of Nancy stuff. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun week ahead. And, yeah, like, you know, right after St Mirren, of course, goes right into I don't want to really talk about the fixtures too much. We've got a video on the channel going through that. But, yeah, I just wanted to go through Martin O'Neill coming back in for one more game just to try and get us over the line. Talk on the international boys a little bit, and then just have another kind of double check in at yeah, where the squad is sitting at coming out of the international break. It would be nice to see Iheanacho be on the bench for the St Mirren game. Again, the Feyenoord match, I just really like. I don't want us to not try or anything like that, or not like. But the mistake we made with Alistair Johnson was bringing him back a game too quickly. Like Iheanacho, for where we're at with the injuries to Osmond, with how far down the pecking order Shin Yamada seems to be, and the impending departure, it feels like, of Daizen Maeda in January. Like, it's really important that he's like just fine when he comes back, you know. Johnny Kenny's shown he can hold the fort, and maybe there's some other interesting options you can make with substitutions and whatever. So Iheanacho, I'm not too sure we need to rush him back into the building right now. It does put a bit of pressure on the rest of the team to be scoring goals, and and not needing the manager to go to the bench to make that kind of thing happen, or change the team up to make that kind of thing happen. Go for it. Try me, Liam. Thank you very much, GM. Really appreciate that. Do you think there's a chance Nancy would change his system? Yeah, I think there's a total chance he changes his system. I tried to make that. I didn't really want to talk on Nancy too much when I recorded that video, because I really had no idea what was going to happen ahead of the weekend at that point. So I just wanted to think about it the way I would do it, and I would keep O'Neill for St Mirren, and that's a Saturday night game, so it's like Sunday morning, Nancy's in, and Sunday morning, I know there'll be recovery sessions. You can't have everyone doing everything at the same time, but when do they need to leave for Holland? Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon. So you've got a full Monday, Tuesday in terms of grass time potentially, like on the park. And Nancy, like compared to an MLS schedule, that's like not too bad. Like I've seen MLS coaches do a lot with one training session between matches. So I don't think you'll find the time constraint too challenging, but it needs to be set up properly. Like if you come in Friday afternoon, Thursday night, Thursday morning, then I just don't think that's quite, because like for the players need time to digest as well. So those 2 training days, then you've got a travel day, then you've got the pre-game stuff, there's time to absorb and think and talk and kind of chat through things, as well as then as you're doing warm-ups for the match, you can start to shape things out a little bit and discuss things that you've done previously. So I think like leading into Feyenoord is a 3-hit. And again, like I said on Axom yesterday, like the sucker punch element could be what we need in a game against Feyenoord, So I think Nancy will change it. And I think like him coming in effectively Saturday night, Sunday morning is a nice little jump point, because enough of these players, like we're essentially playing 3 at the back against Kilmarnock, with Trusty as a sweeper. And, there's not really that much of a tweak to be done here. There's just maybe some new principles to iron in. We're really, I really hope to God that McGregor's really off the leash in this system, like really off the leash. The thing about McGregor is he's hyper obedient, like really follows the coach's instructions to a T. It's one of his strengths, but I think it's one of these ones where it's like, it's one of these positive things that can work against you when you really take it to the furthest extent, which I think McGregor has been guilty of. So I really hope that kind of kicks back into his favour, where he's just totally like, this is what the manager wants from me, and he'll become his best version of himself, which we've seen kind of happening in different spurts over the last year or two. But with the Ange system, the no defensive midfielder, the Brendan system, the metronome position, that controller role that he's had, maybe now hopefully the Nancy kind of gig can kick him on a big level, and we can just get the we always just want to see guys like McGregor and Tierney and even Forrest to maybe the lesser extent, because he's also at the twilight point, but you always want to see these guys really do well. Really, it's like when the homegrowns do well, how do you not have a big smile on your face when any of these guys score or assist or anything? Time frame on the injured players. So Alistair Johnson and Osmond had to get surgery, so months is what's expected for them. Sriracha doesn't feel like he's really, like Sriracha we could probably even just put back on here. I think he's maybe a week or 2 away. Carter Vickers, I'm pretty sure is like March, isn't it? This is expected for him. And Jota, I think like December, we'll start to feel Jota maybe come back into the bench. You'll see him in train. Maybe out of this international break, we could see him at training. But yeah, maybe like December is when we start to think, could Jota come back into the picture? If not, maybe January, maybe even maybe into early February if things aren't progressing fantastically. But I think that's on the timescale that we had originally. We've not had an update in a very long time. Ralston's okay. He's behind my camera right now. And Donovan, I think, is the same as Sriracha. Like if they don't play the next game or 2, they're probably not too far away thereafter. Yamada, Inamura, Negren as Kuhn replacement. None of those signings made any sense for Rogers' system. Do they not fit almost strangely into Nancy's system? Now, it's very interesting you bring that up, because when I did do, like, I'll just click through these buttons, right? So when I did look at Nancy's shape and fit in our squad, there isn't really too many people that cannot be in the conversation in so many different ways. As I just scroll through all the prep that I did for that video that I've not deleted, which is probably a good thing right now. Do we have a number 7? Yeah, we do. Like how many everyone in the squad is in this carousel somewhere. and some of them are depth, obviously. Or Iheanacho's not been included; he's been injured. You know, even Bernardo. So yeah, I think it's you know, again, I've had a lot of chat recently about doing around this, talking about too many chefs and spoiling the broth and whatever. And I think if you look at the signings that the club has done independently from the Brendan Rodgers phone book signings, they all kind of fit together in a system. And it's a system that maybe looks a bit like this, or maybe not this with McGregor or Bernardo in the centre back situation, but yeah, something like this essentially, where if you look at this as the kind of base of the formation, Balikwisha comes into this position. You've got to think very effective, more effectively than what we've seen. And again, if you've seen the striker video, you can think about striker 1A and B being Iheanacho and Dyson. You get Sriracha for left wing back. We've got Simpson Pussy and Murray for backup centre backs. You've got your Donovan and your Ralston situation over here. Hatate and McKeown actually can play probably anywhere in the midfield 4 positions, which is a lot of versatility for this type of shape. Kenny is striker 2, as things kind of sit at the moment. Forrest can play here. Yang could play here. Trusty's not been in the picture yet. We could put Trusty in there quite easily. Osmond and Shin, again, there's just a lot of strikers, isn't there, for one spot. Inamura, again, could fit into this very comfortably. If you think about, there's almost like 2 back threes here, or maybe even fucking 7 defenders now, if you include Murray, just behind my camera at the moment. And yeah, like that imbalance that we have with the 4-3-3 is gone in this system in a lot of ways. I kind of alluded to that myself, and there is something to be said for, there's been 2 people trying to build the team. You know, the club's had an approach, Paul Tisdale's had an approach, whatever it's been, and Rodgers has tried to either manipulate that into his own approach rather than integrate 2 approaches together, or something more collaborative, or he's been a bit more blocky and then pulling through his own approach and trying to just like, yeah, don't you bother with that, let me handle this. And then you've, again, too many chefs spoiling the broth. Yeah, for sure. Possibly does come together quite quickly. You know, I think that's the best case scenario. Maybe something we're kind of hoping for. Maybe we're clutching a bit. But I'm definitely drinking your tea on that one, Liam. I definitely felt that when I was doing all those slides for that video. It's like everyone fits in so many different ways, like very well. You know, like we're maybe still worried about striker, especially with Dyson about to leave and injuries and whatever. But really, in this change of system, so many of the worries of the team go away if they gel, if they click, if they get it together. So yeah, man, maybe there's something to be said there. Maybe there's further proof coming in the pudding that there was 2 chefs spoiling. We need to change it to pudding now rather than broth, but there we go. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. Just a short one, just to catch up with some bits and bobs. We'll have some more content now. We actually hit our like goal so quickly on the striker video, where we're going to do a winger one. So that'll be out probably Thursday, maybe tomorrow. Not too sure. I'll try my best to get that out as quickly as we can. And we'll then be into pre-game analysis and forecast stuff. The Thursday night stream that we do at 7 o'clock. Is it 7? Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. We normally do it. With me and McBride Ace previewing the weekend. Should be back on. Let me check with the man. See if he's back playing golf with Desmond and he can join us again. There's going to be a full week of content. And then right after, off the back, well, I'm sure we're going to have Nancy appointed as well, probably. And then we're moving into Europa League and the real fixture pile-on all the way to a cup final right around the corner. So, yeah, thanks everyone who tuned in today. Get to the comment section if you didn't catch us live. Fist bumps to you all. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, retweet, and all that good stuff. And yeah, Moan the Hoops.